this is Crystal Moon Creations, and we're here for part 2 of the October Bargain Bead Box finished jewelry. If you haven't already seen part 1, I'm going to link it down below and please check it out. I give more of an introduction than what I'm giving here now. And if you're here after watching part 1, I am not going to ramble on again. Let's just get into the video. Here we are at set number 5. Now, some of you may notice this necklace has a lot of similarities to the peacock necklace in structure, which it completely does. I decided when I had those crystals, there was 5 of each in 2 colors, as well as 2 of the fancy toggle, that both of them were going to be used together to create their own sets, and I was going to do them the same way. Here is a quick look at the peacock necklace. So other than the construction being the same, changing the colors of the beads changes the feel of this piece completely. So while the peacock piece was very bright and colorful, this piece is much more toned down. I think this piece has more wearability because it's not so bright in your face as the peacock colored necklace. Not saying I don't like the peacock necklace, I really love that piece. But this one has much more wearability. So from this box, I obviously used the large, beautiful crystals. They had that AB finish, so in certain lights, they catch other colors. The toggle clasp, the fancy bicones in this sea green color, as well as the regular bicones. The rest of the beads I pulled from my stash to try to complement the colors I had going in those beads. So let's start with the pendant on this piece. As you can see here, I housed that crystal in the decorative toggle circle. I also made some loops with a pegboard and then wire wrapped it onto the bottom of the toggle to make the toggle into its own chandelier component. Now, having that, I added a whole bunch of dangles on the bottom in a nice flowing manner. Now, similar to my first piece, as this was just a straight cascading dangle, I created it so all of the beads hung straight without getting bulky on each other. Now, in order to achieve that, you could also see the in-between strands, they only have enough room for chain. The bottom dangles are just a fire polish and a bicone. As you can see, I found these little fire polishes that were similar in color to the sea green fancy bicones. Those little fire polishes are also throughout the top and spaced in such a way that the bottom would hang correctly. Moving up the necklace, you can see I've mixed all of the fire polishes and the bicones throughout the project to create links held together by these split rings. I put some of these rhinestone spacer beads throughout the project to give it a little bit more sparkle. And of course you can see those beautiful crystals in the chain as well. And this just continues up the project and to the back where it's held together with a lobster clasp. Now for the earrings of this set. As you can see, these were handmade with wire, wrapping them around loops on the pegboard again, remnants of how I did the peacock earring. Now, with that in mind, I did have a different idea in mind when I wire wrapped it. I wanted to keep this piece more similar to how the pendant housing the crystal looked. The pendant wrapping the crystal, you could see, it's just a loop around the crystal with 5 loops on the bottom. So similar to the pendant, you have that crystal wrapped in some silver with the 5 loops hugging it around the bottom. Now these earrings were much harder to create. On the pegboard, you can't put beads into the project, so I had to try to leave enough space on the sides when I made the center loop to then go back and add the bead once I removed it from the pegboard. I always have a hard time when I'm making pairs of something to try to get them looks the same. These came out fairly good, and again, this is only the 3rd pair of earrings I've made on the pegboard. The pegboard really gives you a lot of free creativity in creating any shapes you want. You're not restricted by anything, and you can just let your creativity run with that. And the dangles at the end are also the same dangles that are at the end of the pendant, tying them together. And in this set, I did keep the earrings very simple. And that's because there's so much going on in the necklace. I have almost the entire strand beaded, and I didn't want the earrings competing or being too long or close to the necklace. And here we have the bracelet. The bracelet is the same links from the necklace put together, held with those split rings. And a simple toggle clasp in the back. You can also see it's got those sparkles from the rhinestone spacers mixed throughout. Here is a look at the bracelet on. Now this is my 6th set. I don't know how I waited till set number 6 to use this beautiful large carnelian focal pendant. So I had that in reserve and I put it aside with these large carnelian beads. So I knew right away those were going to be used together and they were reserved. Now initially I had a really hard time working on trying to pull out beads to complement this. I did not want to use any of the brighter tones in this necklace that would fight with the beauty of the carnelian stones. I really want to showcase how beautiful these colors were. So I was looking through my stash trying to find something. And keeping in mind, I didn't want any bright flashy beads that could distract from the carnelian stones. So that led me to skip all my faceted beads and go to my stone beads. So in my stone beads, I was able to find these very light yellow to white toned chip beads. These actually came in last month's curated bead box. And when I put them next to the carnelian beads, they both had those warm tones and they complemented each other beautifully. And I was really happy I had those beads to work in this project. Also in this project, I am using the simple silver spacers, the bead caps, and in between you could see the bicones that came in this collection, as well as some of the decorative chain here to create a second strand around the beaded portion. So I took a lot of time and consideration how I wanted this to lay. Initially, I stacked the chip beads next to each other touching, but they are so big and chunky that it really weighed down and made the necklace feel less delicate. So then, as you can see in the final, I put one of the bicones in between each chip to space it out. I really like how that gave the chips more space to kind of shine. They definitely show up more being spaced, and it also gives it a lighter feel where this isn't a heavy, clunky necklace. This beaded portion is done on beading wire. In the bottom, there's a wire guard around the loop of the pendant. I did take off the bail that came with the pendant. I felt it was too big and wasted too much space, and I just looped everything right onto the little tiny loop that was on the top of the actual piece. And so above that, I have a wire guard, and then the two strands are coming off and going throughout the project to a wire guard at the end, which is looped onto some chain. I didn't want to bead too far up the necklace. Again, I didn't want to make it too bead heavy. Initially, I did not have this chain on here. So I finished the piece with the beaded one strand. And as I was staring at it, I'm like, it doesn't feel right. This pendant is so heavy in the metal that I really needed to bring more of a metal color into these strands, which is why I added the chain on both sides to help balance it. And I thought using that fancy chain to decorate the bottom to hang under the beads really helped pull that off. For the pendant, I didn't want to do too much to it. I felt that it on its own is just beautiful and didn't need to be dressed up too much. I just pulled in some of the other beads from the necklace to dangle from the bottom to once again make it more cohesive. So as you can see, I dangled some of the chip beads as well as the bicones used throughout the piece. For the earrings, they are mini replicas of what I have going on down here in the pendant. I put a carnelian bead in the center hole of each earring. I did have to do a little work on these earrings though, because they had a bottom loop that took up a good portion of the space that I had to hang a bead in. So I clipped off that bottom loop and filed it smooth, and then I was able to hang this bead over into the top loop so that it dangled freely in the space provided. The bracelet for this piece is really quite simple. So it is one portion of here from the carnelian to carnelian with 3 of the chips in the middle. And you could see it has those bicones between the chips, the spacers, and the leaf caps. The back is using that decorative chain to a toggle clasp. So again, similar to the necklace, I didn't want to use too many of these big beads in the bracelet. I didn't want it to become clunky or anything like that. Here is the bracelet on. I really love how the chips help accent the naturalness of this piece with the carnelian stones. This is set number 7. And I believe this set truly encompasses the Autumn Horizon theme last month's box was going for. As you can see, this is using all different types of beads from this box. We have the silver leaf beads, the green rondelles, the bind cones, we have the 6mm agates, the larger carnelian beads, the decorative spacers, and the basic spacers, all from this box. So that's a lot going on in this piece. But I was able to put all those different elements together in a way that I felt complemented each other beautifully. From my stash, I pulled in these 3mm fire polish to complement the green color in the rondelles and to bring a balance to it so that's on the top and the bottom. And then the other main beads from my stash that I used were these maroon color beads. Now these are an English cut 8mm bead, and it's like a dark maroon, almost brown color. And I also had it in a little tiny 3mm bead. I was really happy to find these maroonish color beads in my stash because all the rest of the colors are a little bright and in your face, and I really wanted a more neutral color to try to ground it into the piece. So as you can see in the project, I'm using 11 O's and 15 O's in silver, as well as these 15 O's in that maroonish brown color that complement the larger ones I found. Connecting these two strands are actually a new bead I hadn't used before. So this is a Super 8, I believe it's called. I'd gotten it in a Potomac bead box in this silver color. And compared to a Super Duo, it is just a little bit thinner and takes up less space in your project. So I believe here you can barely even see that they are in the project. They blend in so well. And here you can see above them, that's actually that decorative spacer that came in the set. And that too, it filled that space and hugged the beads really well. In order to figure out this project, this is actually the third attempt of making this necklace. My first two obviously didn't work, and I was really happy it did work on the third one. And just show you how it ends at the sides, going to that wire guard and connecting to the chain. I really had a lot of fun making this necklace. Yes, it's always challenging when creating a new bead weaving pattern, but at the same time, it is extra rewarding when you're able to complete it and it comes together beautifully. Despite the colors being bright individually, together they are creating a beautiful cohesive piece. Now for the earrings, you can see I'm using a large carnelian bead at the top. And then in the bottom, there is a whole bunch of dangles, remnants of what I have going on in the necklace. I made sure to incorporate one of the bright orange agate beads in the cluster to show the full range of color I have going on in the necklace. I think they are just as cute and fun as the necklace itself. And here is the bracelet for this set. It's beaded around most of the bracelet with a little extender and the leaf bead as a drop in the back. Here is a quick look of it on with that little dangle. It's a really cute bracelet to represent and to match this necklace. I'm really happy how this turned out. I think it's a beautiful hodgepodge of all the colors incorporated in this set. I'm a little sad to say that it did take me to my 7th set of jewelry working with this box to really truly embrace the colors it provided. We are finally here. This is the 8th and final set inspired from October's Bargain Bead Box, and oh my god, has it been a trip. This is a beaded collar necklace. Now, while this was the last set I created, the inspiration was there from the beginning. I had gotten these drop beads in a very similar tone to the denim beads from the dollar bead box. And initially when I got that box, I put those beads in with my bargain bead box because I knew I wanted to work them into some project with those denim rondelles. And unfortunately, that was pushed to the last project. Also, from the bargain bead box, I am using the sea green fancy bicones throughout this project, as well as the round spacer beads in the earrings and the bracelet. So a closer look at the pattern of the necklace. You can see this is all made with super duos. So I have super duos in silver and a gunmetal color. And the super duos are beaded in such a way that they create this winding, snaking path throughout the necklace. So here is an even closer look. So you could see between the super duos on the outside, I have these 11 O's connecting the outer holes. And the inner holes go in a circle and grab the bead on each round. So here is a full look at this necklace. Now this is beaded all the way around from start to end. This project definitely took the longest out of any of the necklaces, regardless if I had to rework them or think about creating them. Just the time labor of beading this project was probably well over 4 hours. I had to take a break one day and continue it the next day. But still, the results on this are really quite beautiful. So this necklace is a copy of a necklace I created way back in the beginning of the year when I had gotten my first super duos. I was just playing with the beads in different ways, excited on what I could create with them. And while I know super duos have been around much more than this year, I actually only started beading about a year ago. So here's a look at the necklace I created initially. It is almost exactly the same, obviously in a different colorway. And if you guys are really interested, I could do a tutorial for this piece. Let me know down below if that's something you guys would want. Other than this project being very time consuming, it's rather easy to put together. You're doing that same constructing the whole way through. So moving on to the earrings. So the earrings are using the same beads I have in the necklace, but I wanted to keep them very simple. So as you can see, I have the rondelle on the top, and then at the end, there's just a few very tiny little dangles ending with the drop bead I had in the necklace. Now, because this is a collar necklace, it sits very high on the neck and it's heavily beaded, I really didn't want to make my earrings very heavy. So I kept them very light and airy kind of feeling with some sparse beads, but still matchy-matchy to the set. Here is a look at the bracelet for this set. Now the bracelet has a little bit of a different feel because it's hard to represent that same super duo feel in the bracelet without doing that pattern, but it does have the same beads used with the addition of the basic spacer from this box. So you could see, even to pull in that gunmetal color, I ended it with some of the seed beads on each side. And then at the end, there is a dangle with some of those beads on it again. You can see the bracelet on is really cute with the extender and the little dangle at the end. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed viewing all the pieces I was able to create from the October Bargain Bead Box. I can't believe I actually created 8 sets. That kind of seems like a big crazy number. I am so happy to finally get this video up. I have 4 subscription boxes downstairs on my desk unopened that I have not been allowing myself to even look at till I finished editing and posting this. One of them is next month's Bargain Bead Box, and I am so excited to see what's inside. So look forward to those. They are definitely coming soon. I'm not going to be able to control myself much longer on unboxing those. Thank you again to everybody who likes, comments, and subscribe. You guys are the fuel for my creativity, and all your encouragement floors me. Guys, you are amazing. So I'm going to leave it at that. I can't help myself, but thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.